From North Carolina, let's head a little bit north to Virginia. Virginia now calling on the Supreme Court to reinstate Governor Glenn Youngkin's move to eliminate non-citizens from voter rolls. The state now awaiting the court's decision on a possible injunction. Jason Miyares is the Attorney General of Virginia. Joins me now. Jason, let's start with the calendar, because right now that could be the most important thing. When do you expect a decision? Because we're 6 days out from Election Day.
Yeah, thank you. I think we're going to probably hear something in the next 24 hours, would be my prediction.
Okay, let's get to the substance. You argue, you argue that restoring these non-citizens to voter rolls, and this is your quote, would inject chaos into the voting process. Explain how, Jason.
Well, what the district court did is they basically ordered Virginia to ignore our own law and put roughly 1,500 non-citizens back on our voter rolls. We've had a law that's been on the books since 2006, signed by then Governor Tim Kaine, a Democrat, to remove non-citizens. These are individuals that have checked a box at DMV when they've tried to get driver privileges, indicating they're non-citizens, and then DMV communicates that to the Department of Elections. If they've shown up on our voter rolls, we communicate to them and say, listen, you've been indicated that you're a non-citizen. We're going to give you a period of time to clarify that if you are. And if you don't, we're going to remove you from our roles as a non-citizen. And that's been a law that's been in place and been enforced by Democrats and Republicans. The fact that the Department of Justice is trying to do this 25 days before an election is just, indeed, it is injecting chaos into something we don't need right now.
Also, it's not like you're trying to root out these people using covert means. These people said, hey, we're non-citizens. Like, they wrote it down at the DMV. The fact that every Republican attorney general has signed on to an amicus brief in support of your position, how helpful do you think that'll be when the Supreme Court ultimately makes its decision?
Well, listen, it's Republican AGs from New Hampshire to Texas. But think about this. The SAVE Act, supported by Speaker Johnson, which would have been at the federal level, require you to be a U.S. citizen, obviously, to be able to participate in our elections. The main Democrat point against that was, listen, we don't need this at the federal level because the states, each individual states, have their own mechanism to ensure non-citizens are not on our voter rolls. Well, now you have a state that is actually doing that, a law that is actually signed by a Democrat. And now the same people on the left that were opposing the SAVE Act, saying the states could fix this, are now suing Virginia to stop us from doing that. That just shows you both the inconsistency and how rare common sense is in Washington, D.C., that they would expend their resources to go after Virginia to attack a law that's been supported by both Democrats and Republican governors.
I think there are a lot of people who may be watching and say, why do we care? This is a small amount of votes. But when you talk to Republican pollsters, so many of them tell you off the cuff, hey, we think Virginia could be in play for Trump. So my question to you, Attorney General, could this decision by the Supreme Court ultimately determine if Donald Trump wins Virginia?
Well, listen, first of all, it's a really novel idea, right? Virginia citizens should be deciding Virginia elections. But yes, if Virginia, this is a state that swings both ways. To go back on the Wayback Machine, former Attorney General Bob McDonnell, he won statewide by less than 1,000 votes. So we've had historically some incredibly close elections in Virginia. But really, we want everybody, I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat, to have confidence in our elections, our election results. That's our number one goal. It should be easy to vote, but hard to cheat. And really, this is something that over 83% of Americans, according to Gallup, support the idea that only citizens can vote in our elections. It is citizens that are paying our taxes. It is citizens that are determining who our leaders are. This shouldn't be controversial. It's common sense, but as I noted, common sense is a very common in Washington.
It does beg the question, why is DOJ fighting so hard to keep non-citizens on voter rolls? It doesn't make sense. Jason Miyares, appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.